Have you ever just had that feeling that you're stuck? Like you're on a hamster wheel, trading all your best hours, your best energy just for a paycheck? Well, in this explainer, we are going to dive into how to break free from that exact trap. We're going to talk about how to design a life where your time is actually your own. So let's get right into it. I mean, does this look familiar to you? That alarm goes off, you sit in traffic, you sit at a desk, you're exhausted by the end of the day, and you just get up and do it all over again. It's kind of the default script for modern life, right? It's this relentless cycle that leaves so many of us just feeling completely trapped. But here's the thing you have to understand. This feeling isn't just in your head. It's a real, fundamental flaw in the way we're all taught to think about work. This whole idea of work super hard until you're 65, it's a model that's based on sacrificing your life now for some future that, let's be honest, is not even guaranteed. So, if that traditional path is broken, what are we supposed to do? Where do we go from here? Is there a different way to think about work and wealth and, life itself? Well, yeah, there is. And that's exactly what we are about to break down. Okay, so first things first, we have to really understand the prison that we're trying to escape. And it all comes down to this simple but kind of brutal equation that governs the lives of pretty much everyone, from the summer intern all the way up to the CEO. Just think about it for a second. Getting a raise or a big promotion doesn't actually buy you more freedom, does it? It just means you're selling your time at a higher price. It doesn't matter if you're making $60,000 a year or $500,000. If your income stops the very moment you stop working, you're still caught in the trap. But what if there was a totally different way? A new philosophy that completely redefines what it even means to be wealthy. See, it's not about chasing millions of dollars in the bank. It's about building a life that is rich in options. So let's meet the new rich. This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way, struggle, grind, and then maybe, if you're lucky, you get to retire at the very end. But on the right, you have the new rich approach, a life with many retirements built in along the way. It's about creating freedom and joy in the present, not just banking it all for some far-off future. And this right here is the fundamental mindset shift. The ultimate luxury isn't a fancy sports car. It's waking up on a Tuesday morning and having complete and total control over your day. It's the ability to work from anywhere in the world or not work at all without worrying about your income just disappearing. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Well, luckily for us, there's a proven step-by-step framework for escaping the trap and building this new kind of lifestyle. It's a 4-step process, and it's called DEAL. Definition, elimination, automation, and liberation. Just think of these as the 4 main pillars that are going to support your new life. Each one is an absolutely critical step on the path from feeling trapped to being truly free. So let's break them down one by one. First up, definition. Before you can even begin to build your dream life, you have to know what it looks like. And I mean, you have to really know. Not what your parents told you to want or what society tells you is impressive, the big house, the fancy job title, but what would genuinely make you excited to wake up in the morning. This step is all about getting crystal clear on your personal goals. And this is where it gets really exciting. Because when you actually sit down and crunch the numbers, you'll probably find that your dream lifestyle costs way less than you think. For example, what if your dream was to live in Valencia, Spain for 3 months, taking salsa lessons? That could cost you as little as $2,200 a month. And suddenly, your goal isn't this scary, huge thing like get rich. It's a much more manageable goal like generate $2,200 in passive income. Okay, so once you know your target, the next step is to free up the time and the mental energy you need to actually go after it. This means you have to get ruthless. You have to start cutting out all the noise, the busy work, and the distractions that fill our days but don't actually produce any real results. And this right here, this is the key, the 80-20 principle. The idea is so simple but so powerful. Basically, 80% of your good results come from just 20% of your actions. And on the flip side, 80% of your stress and wasted time also comes from a tiny fraction of causes. So your job becomes to figure out what that high-impact 20% is and then mercilessly cut out everything else. Now we get to the real engine of your freedom. Elimination frees up your time, sure, but automation is what completely shatters that time for money link. The whole goal here is to build an income source that works for you 24/7, whether you're at your desk, on a beach, or fast asleep. So how do you actually build this automated income stream? The key is to create what Tim Ferriss calls a muse.
Basically, a low-maintenance business that generates passive cash flow. This could be anything: an ebook that you write one time and sell forever, a physical product that you sell using a service like Amazon FBA, where they handle all the shipping and logistics for you. The common thread is that you are building a system that works, so you don't have to.
And here's a little pro tip for you. Please, do not spend months or even years building something that nobody actually wants. Instead, test your idea before you go all in. Just set up a super simple webpage, run a small, cheap ad campaign, and see if people are actually willing to pull out their credit cards. If they are, then you've got a green light to build the whole thing out.
And the final piece of the puzzle is liberation. Once your income isn't tied to your time, it really shouldn't be tied to your location either. This is all about negotiating remote work or using what's called geographic arbitrage to live like a king on a modest income, and really designing a life of maximum mobility and choice. Now look, this framework is solid. The tactics really do work. But for most people, the biggest thing holding them back isn't a how-to problem. It's a psychological one. It's fear. Fear of failing, fear of what other people will think, fear of the unknown. And honestly, this is the part where most people get stuck and give up.
But here is the antidote. Instead of goal setting, you're going to practice fear setting. You literally write down in painful detail the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen if you tried this. Then you list all the ways you could prevent that from happening. And finally, you make a plan for how you'd get back on your feet if it did happen. And what you almost always find is that the worst case scenario is actually survivable and it's reversible. But the cost of doing nothing, a life of regret, that's not.
Whew, okay. We have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring it all home and make it super practical with a concrete action plan. Here is a 90-day roadmap that can take you from feeling stuck to making real, tangible progress on your own path to freedom.
So, in the first month, days 1 to 30, you focus on definition and elimination. Figure out your target monthly income and cut all the fat from your schedule. The second month is all about validation. You test a business idea cheaply. And the third month is for automation. You build out the systems, maybe hire a virtual assistant so the business can truly run without you. Look, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but this is exactly how you start. And let's just be crystal clear about the end game here. The point of all this isn't to be lazy or to just sit around and never work again. It's about destroying the obligation to work. It's about having the power to decide if you want to work 40 hours this week on a project you love or 0 hours while you explore a new country. The real power is in the choice. So what we've seen is that the tools, the framework, it all exists. Escaping the time for money trap isn't some fantasy. It's a solvable problem. Which really just leaves one final and maybe the most important question. Once you reclaim your time and you reclaim your life, what are you actually going to do with all of that freedom?